What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Garage Mind. I'm excited to sit down and talk with Bryan today. Everybody listening, what we talk here is real life, real stories, real journeys. Bryan has a very good story to talk about, and kind of about you check out his TikTok. I'm sure we'll talk about that too. He's got a cool little TikTok going there. Very inspirational and just real talk here. Bryan, why don't you introduce yourself and tell everybody where you're from and a little bit about yourself?
All right. Well, thank you for having me, Tony. I appreciate it. Yeah, my name is Bryan. I'm from Fort Worth, Texas, living in Huntington Beach, California. Just always had a dream to live out here, man, since I was little, and watching MTV when the 80s hair metal bands were going on, and
Nice.
just always had a dream to live here and do something, not knowing what exactly. Wanted to be a rock star since I was a little kid. Learned how to play guitar and started playing guitar in local bands, and just had this dream, my friend. And then the drugs and alcohol came into place really early in my life, and that just kind of took over my life and became who I was. And then at 42, 2020, during the middle of, or at the beginning of COVID,
Yep.
I said, screw it, let's go. And I put most of my belongings in a storage, what I could in my little hatchback Ford car, and drove to California and went straight from Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas to Venice Beach, and then made my quite a few trips around different parts of LA, from Venice to Santa Monica, Culver City, Woodland Hills, Canoga Park, and then to Orange County and to Huntington Beach. And yeah, it's where I'm at now.
Nice, nice. So, Bright too, I heard a lot of things too. It's hard to just ship up and move out from where you're from. Obviously, you become accustomed to our surroundings. We know where we're from, and everything's comfortable, and we become complacent. It takes a lot of courage and a lot of bravery to do what you did, to just, ship up and leave and start over. I see the guitars in the background there. It's super cool, man. I'm trying to
Thanks.
learn how to play,
Are
by the
you?
way. Yeah, it's not going so well, but I'm still I'm trying, in between work and everything. But
Yeah.
the passion's there. I'll get it eventually.
There
It's
you go.
super cool, man. So let's
Thanks.
talk about that a little bit. So you said that's been a dream for a long time. So did it start with anybody in your family, or how did music come into your life?
I come from a musically inclined family. My great grandmother played the organ and the piano in the church I grew up in. So did my grandmother. My mom, my uncle, and my aunt all were taught piano. And then my dad was just a big music fan, no talent of any kind. But I just came from a family that always had different genres of music playing in the background. And I can't throw a baseball off the Huntington Beach Pier and hit the ocean, but my brother can't play his car radio. So there, you know.
We all got different talents. Absolutely.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But yeah, man, I just when I saw that Quite Right Bang Your Head video on MTV, that was it, man. When I heard that guitar sound and saw that video, I was like, that's it. That's what I wanted to do. So yeah, I just locked myself in my room. My great grandmother started paying for me. She bought me an acoustic guitar from a pawn shop when I was, I don't know, 12 or 11, 12, something like that. And then started paying for lessons, and I started doing that. And then, man, just I was off and running at that point.
You're absolutely right too. That MTV era, that was special, man. That was I also lived through that too as well. Rap started to become a bigger thing too when I started watching it. But that was man, there's nothing like guitar is one of the instruments that you strum a chord, especially electric guitar, and you can just feel it in your soul. That there's nothing
Mhm.
like that. It touches all, even if you don't enjoy that genre, hearing the
Right.
guitar, man, it makes, I mean, all walks of life, from Jimi Hendrix down to the country stars. Um, just the feel of that guitar, the rock and roll, the whatever genre it is, you could feel it, man. You feel it in your soul.
Yeah.
That's what I love about the guitar. It's
Yeah, I agree.
could touch many different walks of life. So now let's get a little bit into the journey, into the, how did the dark times for you start? How was that?
It started at 15, freshman in high school. I came from an amazing family, a very loving, caring, supporting family. But when I got into the ninth grade and started drinking and going to the high school parties, and uh, I was always hanging out with older people, and a lot of troublemakers already because I was already
Hey,
causing havoc on the world way before the ninth grade and my parents and my family. But yeah, once I started drinking and got into smoking pot and then doing cocaine and taking Xanaxes and just anything I could get my hands on, we started tripping LSD and mushrooms in the ninth grade, and just exploring life and different avenues of what I could get into, and that just became who I was. And if you were still to ask people that I grew up with and spent most of my time with, that if you asked what do you know about Bryan, they would probably just say a wild
party
drug and
animal.
alcoholic. Yeah, that's if you want whatever you need, Bryan can get it for you. That's just yeah, that's all I've known of myself. It's what all anybody's ever known of me, you know. And so it just became me. It just became a way of life. And then in the 10th grade, going into the 10th grade, beginning of the 10th grade, I started doing heroin, and that became everything for me. And my first rehab, I dropped out in the 12th grade.
Wow.
And shortly after that, I was attending my first rehab for heroin addiction. Yeah, it was pretty rough.
You know what, Brian, too, I appreciate you talking about this too. And the reason, to talk, not to pick on you, it's something that happens a lot in life. And I think a lot of people just kind of sweep it under the rug and don't realize it. And, you know, my journey is a little similar in the fact that I hung out with the older crowd and I had a lot of older cousins and I seen that too. And it's easy, you know, obviously seeing it at such a young age that you've seen it too. I mean, it's there and, you want to hang with the cool kids and you said it best. It starts becoming a little bit of your personality and who you are. You're just that party
Yeah,
animal. Everybody expects that. And it kind of,
yeah,
you just become it, because at that age, you're very moldable. And, it takes a lot of courage, Brian. And I want to thank you again for talking about it because it's something that's in our daily life between, young kids to adults. Adults can get it too at any age. And I feel like we don't talk about it enough. It kind of just, like it's taboo and we just leave it. But it's real issue
sure.
dealing with. I'm from Chicago and where I work, it's not the best neighborhood, and you see it a lot. And someone once said to me that it's sad because, and I looked at it differently because a lot of these guys, some of these guys won't recover like you and decide to change, and that's it. And it's sad because the what somebody said to me, a close friend of me said, at one point in life, this was somebody's son. Somebody cared about this person. This is somebody's daughter. And I think in today's society, we kind of just we cast them aside and we forget about them, and we don't. We have organizations that try to help. We have rehab facilities, but I think we need more, and on a global scale too. I think we need more attention to these things and more attention to people like yourself who actually changed their lives, who said this was enough. I'm not going to deal with this anymore. I deserve better. And it's hard to get there, and it's everywhere. Drugs are everywhere, especially in the U.S. You see it. Movies. They, especially with cocaine, that's a big one. They make it look cool on the movies. They make it, seem like you'll be all right. It only lasts a couple. It's in your system a few days. We hear all the time from people, but it's what it does to you. We don't. There's not enough research on it, and it takes away your happiness, and it becomes you. And it's a hard demon to face. And you had a little help along the way too. And if you want to talk about that too, and kind of how you started, when you started, what was the moment, Brian, that you realized like, this isn't for me. This is not who I am.
Yeah, I definitely had help from multiple outlets. But I want to talk about something that you were just speaking on. We forget that was somebody's son, somebody's daughter, is still somebody's son, somebody's daughter, somebody's loved one.
Loved one. Yeah.
When I moved from Texas to Venice and saw the homelessness, because Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas has homeless people, but not like this. Not dude, it was mind boggling to walk into that environment and see what the the addiction and the way of life that occurs in California. It was unlike anything I've ever witnessed. So there's a lot of I saw a lot of people trying to help, like the state would step in and create these little certificate gift card type things,
Yeah.
and vouchers, if you will. And they had like these apartments and rooms, hotel rooms that they had set up for homeless people, drug addicts, alcoholics, just stranded, whatever it may be. But they had rules. You had to be in by like 9 p.m. You had to be out by like 7 a.m. And then you could come back, but you also couldn't be dirty. And I
Yeah.
mean, like you had to pass drug test, to be able to get in and stay there. So, or they would offer you 3 hots and a cot. I mean, they would feed you, you'd have a shower, your own room, but people wouldn't end up staying there because they wouldn't do anything to change their situation. You would think just because they have housing now, they're going to want to change.
Okay.
And that's just not the case.
Addiction is
You could,
powerful.
yeah, you could throw a whole, house to somebody, but if they don't want to change or they don't have the knowledge or the structure to bring in any kind of money through even working at McDonald's, how they're not going to sustain that. You can't sustain it, and then if you didn't have to follow all these other rules about staying clean, or being able to pass a drug test or an alcohol breathalyzer, the rules of being in at a certain time, well, nobody wants to do that either,
Yeah.
you know so you get stuck. Here's this help, but you don't want to help yourself. So what good does the help do if you're not wanting to do anything about it? You won't even do what you have to do to get 3 meals that are coming from a guarantee,
Yeah.
a hot shower, clothes from Goodwill or the Salvation Army, or whoever. So there's a lot of different things. And then you have the ones that are there because they love the beach life and that whole party scene and living out of their RV right there on the streets of North and South Venice Boulevard. That's just their way of life, and they're not going to change that. So and then you have the people that lost a lot of their homes and apartments because of COVID, and they didn't want to
Yeah.
be there. It wasn't even necessarily drug and alcohol addiction. Right. But you see this whole different kind of environment of this melting pot of different people in different situations. So yeah, it got kind of crazy. But what happened with me is I was guided to Huntington Beach. I'm not a religious person, but I'm a very spiritual person. I was guided here. I didn't understand why Orange County or Huntington Beach until later when things started happening. But I was living out of my car, taking showers in the showers down by the beach and smoking meth and taking pills and drinking a fifth of vodka and whiskey in the bathroom, and then driving to LA to work every day and looking for a place to rent. I did have a job. By this point, I'd gotten a job, and
Okay.
was working for like 3 or 4 different companies doing audio and video production at the time, and
Oh wow.
just fight or flight mode, just going and running and going from job to job to job, and sleeping in my car and coming back to Huntington Beach and passing out. And I started looking for some places to rent. Wasn't having any luck with that. And one day I came across this sign in a lady's yard. I called her, and she said that I could tell that she was older on the phone. I
Yeah.
didn't know how old. I could just tell that she was an older woman. And so I met her that night, and I was I was in a really dark place. I was struggling mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. I was constantly in fight or flight mode, just struggling day to day to survive. I was just in survival mode. That's all that it was, and depleted, just beat up and worn down, man. And this lady invited me into her home to show me this room that she had for rent. She then took me downstairs and started to explain a little bit about who she was. And part of her journey was she had 3 daughters. One of them died from a brain aneurysm that was more than likely caused by her own alcohol addiction.
Oh wow.
Her other 2 daughters are in recovery, and she had 2 grandsons that both overdosed on fentanyl. So here I am, tweaked out, depleted, and wondering why, fighting tears at this point as to why this lady is sharing this information with me. She didn't know me. She doesn't know anything about me. We'd met for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And so I didn't understand it. And it was super emotional and confusing and overwhelming all at the same time. And she told me that there was one other guy that had called before me that she promised that he could come see the exact same place tomorrow morning. And she said that she would call me and let me know. So I went to work the next day and never heard from her. Got off of work in LA, drove back here, got in front of her house and called her. And I said, hey, I never heard from you. And she said, oh, well, this guy's going to go ahead and take it. He was a friend of mine, my daughter's friend from high school. So best of luck to you. It's like, oh, man. Called my mom, told her what was going on. She didn't know I was homeless. She still knew that I was, partying pretty hard but she didn't know that I was homeless, and I'd lied to her, telling her I was living in this house here in Huntington Beach. And um, she asked me what I was going to do. And I said, start on the next street tomorrow. It's just another chapter in my story. It's just another page in this chapter. I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to be homeless forever. And instead of cussing it and bashing it, this is never going to work out. I'm screwed. I'm not ever going to find a place. This lady's a bitch. She didn't take me.
Yeah.
None of that
Any
stuff came out of my
accountability.
mouth. Right. It was just, I'll just start on the next street tomorrow. I don't know what else to tell you. She wondered if I was going to have to come back to Texas. And I said, well, that's not an option. I'm not doing that. And so I got back in my car, went across the street, passed out in my car for a little bit. And that following morning, I got a phone call. It happened to be Elaine. And she asked me if I was asleep in my car. And I lied to her and told her no. And she said, don't lie to me. And I said, all right, I'm asleep in my car. And she said, well, why don't you get yourself together and come over? I got dressed as fast as I possibly could, got in my car, drove over to her house, and she was standing on the front porch in her robe waiting for me and said, welcome home.
Wow. That's powerful. That's powerful. I can
Been
only
here ever
imagine,
since.
the feelings of her sharing that with you too, because I'm sure that was very personal to her too, and for her to open up and tell her,
Yeah,
kind of telling you she knows what you're going through, or she knows what that looks like. Um,
right.
I want to back up, Brian, for a second to something you said, because a lot of people, I think, especially I live out here in Chicago. We have a lot of homeless. We have a homeless problem too, in Lakeshore Drive is what we call it. It's over there. We have a lot of people over there. And I went to California for the first time. I went out there, and it was like a culture shock for me too, because I had heard about Skid Row and different and places on the beach like that. But to see it, it's different. I didn't know that it was as big as a problem as it is too. Just like here at home. And, to see it, I think everybody should see it too, because like I said, I think a lot of, that's what kind of woke me up to the issue as well too. And another thing a lot of people don't look at that you touched on, Ryan, is I think people think like, oh no, that can never happen to me. There's all different types of life. Like COVID, people lost their house. You start going down a
Yeah,
dark avenue, and it could all the way to the top to business people living good lives, a lot of money. I think that makes it even worse because it's more available to you. You have the money for it. You could do whatever you want. This can happen to anybody, and addiction is very powerful. And I think people need to realize that, there's nobody that's protected from it. It could
nobody.
easily happen to you as well. And I
Yeah,
like, Brian, hearing your story. I didn't know it obviously before speaking to you. I love that you always stayed determined and passionate about what you wanted. You wanted to be there. You wanted to create a life for yourself there. And a lot of people, I think, too, have the misconception that somebody just wants to stay doing drugs. They don't want to do anything. You held jobs as well and was trying to make better. There was not one time that you gave up on yourself or just gave into self pity. And I commend that, Brian. I think that's amazing. I mean, in life, I get down on myself sometimes too. Just that power that you had to stay strong and believe in yourself it says a lot about you too, brother.
thanks. Yeah, I've always, when I put my mind to something, don't tell me I can't. I will prove
Powerful.
you wrong. I will prove you wrong. And then with you working in this job industry, I still work there. I still do the same thing. But it's during the summertime is it's seasonal, right? Because there's tons of festivals, there's tons of concerts,
Yeah.
and obviously LA is, a huge place for that.
That.
So there's, lots of private events, but in that environment, it's go, 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 go. So there's coke and meth and drinking and the pot smoking
It's
is
part of this.
just, it's just part of it. So when I was, you know, during the homeless phase of it, I started working for one company that kind of showed me the ropes, and then I realized that a lot of people in that industry worked for 4 or 5 companies doing it. They're just always going. So that's what I had to do. I would just drink and smoke pot and smoke
Keep
meth
going.
and do DMT and taking mushrooms, just whatever, man. Just when I moved to California, man, I really took the sex, drugs, and rock and roll lifestyle to a different level than I've ever done. Well, why not? I'm living in LA where I've always wanted to be. Let's go,
It's where it
and
is.
so that's what I can laugh about it now. But dude, it was rough, man. But I knew
It's
that if it took me a while to get a job and to start working in that industry and how that all happened. But it yeah, man, I just wouldn't stop. I was not going back to Texas. I was not doing it. I was not, that's not an option.
I love that drive. That drive, like I said, a lot of people don't have that drive, and the fact that you held on to that drive and who you were as a person, that's amazing in itself. That's a story in itself, brother. That nothing was gonna stop, even though you were living that lifestyle. Nothing was gonna stop who you were, like who you truly were, and I think that's amazing. And like I said, that's what me and my listeners love to hear the real talk, the real stuff that we don't talk about that we need to more. And I kind of want to talk about, can you shed light a little bit about how your life with Elaine was and how that kind of, helped you along to where you are now?
Yeah. She, she just became this, like I was saying earlier, the whole thing was divinely guided, right? I needed a light in my life. I needed some stability. I needed
That's structure.
something grounded, some structure. Absolutely. Even though I can say that I was fine where I was at, because I just know how to survive. I'm very resourceful. I will go through the depths of hell. I don't if there's something on this end that I want, whatever I have to do to go through it, I'll just do it. It also got to a point where I realized that it was about to be death or prison for a long time. Um, but when I met her, it gave me that structure and that grounding spot that I didn't have to worry about a roof over my head anymore. But it also took a turn for the worse because that's when I really secluded myself. I didn't have to worry about having a roof over my head anymore, and I had this somewhat stability and not having to sleep in my car and move clothes around and move things around and just sleep in the back seat. So she it was uplifting, but at the same time, that's when things took a turn for the seclusion and the darkness that happened. And I really shut myself off from the world, and my drinking got so much worse. The meth got worse than it's ever been. I mean, it's always been bad,
Yeah.
but I've always enjoyed being out and about with people and partying and having a good time and being the life of the party and just going crazy and being wild. But I've never been to a dark internal spot like that. Um,
Always social.
and always, always. So that was a new way of living for me that I wasn't used to and definitely unfamiliar with. But when I started seeing the way that this lady operates, like not a care in the world,
She's pretty
not
funny.
a care in the world.
She's
Like her,
cool.
hate her, she does not care. You know what? And I started becoming um, cognitive of this lady's heart and how she operated. And so I was already making TikTok videos about my journey through California. And, I started,
Where can
I,
people, real quick, Bright, where can people find that too? Because it's a great TikTok channel. You guys got to check it out.
yeah, it's just my name, Bryan Blackmon, on TikTok, BryanBlackmon. And, yeah, dude, I started making videos of me running from the LAPD helicopter.
I've seen
I
those.
would be, dude, I'd be so tweaked out, bro. I would be running around at work, and we'd work outside at like these different concerts or festivals, and I would see the LAPD helicopter running around. And so I just made these videos of me running through the LA Coliseum and just different things, running around, hiding behind bushes and doing all this crazy thing. And I thought it was fun. Now I look back on it and I was like, dude, you were so whacked out of your mind. But I started making videos of this 85-year-old woman and this 45-year-old man. I was still I was still in my addiction. I wasn't sober at this point, but it started gaining a little bit of traction. And it wasn't until I got sober, it was about 6 months into my sobriety, I made that one video of her hosing these guys off walking back from the beach. Just no expectations, no nothing. I just thought it was funny, and it was just something that she would do. And next thing I know, man, my whole entire account just went nuts. And I just kept doing it and then started live streaming. And that's kind of where I landed today.
And I just want to let you know, Bryan, too, is a fan of your content as well. That's why I couldn't wait to find out who the man behind the content was, because you have a you talk about being spiritual too. You have that. You have a contagious, like, people want to like you. People want to hear what you have to say. Like, you have
Thanks.
that. I love
Thanks.
it. Has that you talked about being the party animal before too. Has that always been a part of your life? Have you, people just gravitated towards you?
Yeah, it's either you loved me or hated me.
Those are two in the same sometimes too, man.
And I don't think it was like even hate in a bad way. It was just like,
Yeah,
dude, this guy
exactly.
is too much. I cannot. I'd love to be around him, but I can't be
It's a
around him for
lot.
too long, dude. It's just too much. Uh, you know, I've always been the life of the party. I was always the class clown. I enjoy making people laugh. If
Same.
I could take you out of your element for just a few minutes, man, and make you smile or whatever, I enjoy doing that. But when things were really bad, I still had this passion for life because I always knew that there was something greater out there. I just didn't know if I was going to ever be able to get there. And where there was that I don't even care about
You
that. That
didn't.
that
Yeah.
wasn't here or a rock star or an actor. Just none of that was a thought at this point. It was just if I could get sober and what sober looked like. Am I going to stop drinking and stop doing meth and still do weed and smoke DMT? Or am I going to, drop all of it and just expand my consciousness with DMT and mushrooms? I mean, it wasn't, uh, but that morning that everything changed for me, I knew that there was there wasn't any way of me doing this half ass. I'm too addictive. Like I can't just stop. I had to do everything. I had to stop everything. I can't just stop at
Nothing
all and
more.
do like weed or DMT or just mushrooms. I had to stop it all.
Now I have a question too, because you had talked about spiritually too, and your mind. I've looked at a lot of research and I've heard a lot of stories too of guys like scientists, doctors, physicians, talking about using DMT to open the senses and the mind to other things that we can't see. I
Yeah.
mean, was it purely just to use DMT, or did you do some of those, treatments as well?
I didn't do any treatments. I did my own self medication with it.
Okay,
Dude, I'm really big on that spiritual stuff. I'm really big into the other dimensions and
same.
frequencies and vibrations and different levels of consciousness. But yeah, man, DMT. Sorry, I'm going to say this,
No, you're good.
but I honestly think everybody should try it. The reason why is because if you think that there's nothing greater than yourself out here, oh, will it show you something completely different? Like all this space that you see in between us, there's things going on, my friend, and that's why they call it the God chemical or whatever they want to
Yeah,
say.
I've heard that. It's a
Yeah,
lot. I've heard a lot of research. That's why I'm asking you. I'm curious to know what I've seen a lot of research on it. A lot of podcasts I've listened to too, and I mean it's crazy the stuff that it's showing you and what they
yeah.
think that is. And like a lot
It'll
of
drop
time,
your ego.
yeah.
It'll
And some
kick
of the
that
stuff,
ego square in the chest.
do you want to elaborate on a little bit about that?
Sure. So they say that DMT is released. in your bloodstream or in your mind through like when you're first born and when you're dying. I think now they're also saying like when you have those super vivid dreams,
Yes.
when you wake up and you're like, oh my God, I just had the craziest dream. It was me and you, and we were in this park and we were
I
feeding birds. And I mean, it's so vivid. You remember every second of it. I think new studies are showing that like small amounts of it are being released into your brain when that happens. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I was terrified of it, and I'm not terrified of any drug, but there was something about this one that I'd heard some stories, and I was like, do I really want to tap into this? But I did, and uh, you die for 7 to 10 minutes. There is no existence. You don't know how long you've been out. You don't know. All that I can tell you is, you know what a kaleidoscope looks like? Remember when you have those things
yeah,
and you turn it and you see all these
all
crazy
the colors.
fractals and colors? You've never seen purple like this. You've never seen pink like this. You've never seen green like this. You've never seen these little people that will come over to you and go, hey, come here. I want to show you something.
I've heard a lot about that too.
And next thing you know, things just start changing and shaping, and they're like comforting you. And I used to get these little tingly feelings like throughout my entire body, like somebody was like tapping on them. And it was like this restoration being to like rechanging this and shaping this and creating this. And every time I got out of it, I would be in tears, like joyful tears, like, oh my God, what just happened? But it's something that your ego dies. I mean, it will show you things that are beyond what somebody said it best. I think it was Joe Rogan that said it best. It's like trying to explain a kaleidoscope to a blind person.
Oh, that's crazy.
That is
Go ahead,
what
go ahead.
it's
Sorry.
like. No,
Absolutely.
that's it.
Yeah, the research is definitely interesting. It's a lot. And, I like what you're saying to change your ego because I feel like a lot of us think, the world revolves around us, but there's definitely, I'm interested in that side of life too. There's a lot
Yeah.
of things going on around us. A lot of things, I mean, even sound. So we can't see it. We know there's sound waves. We know there's pixels. We know there's light. But like where it all comes from and what we can't see is more interesting than what we can see, I believe. And the research on that is it's intriguing me, my curiosity. I would like to get some more people to talk about maybe, how they've used it too, or some of the research on it. Because it's definitely, and you were right what you said earlier, it's in us too. Our body makes it and releases some of it.
Right.
I don't know the specifics about how and why or when, but it's definitely interesting because I know there's a lot of things that we can't see and or we can't comprehend, but it's there. And I think
Well,
we need.
it's in like grass and nature, and you know, it's a thing that is just in our nature. It's just a part of nature. And so when you take for me, it was this warm rush of peace. Right? It showed me something that made me realize, like you said, we're these spiritual beings. This flesh is just what we're walking in. It's not who we are. And when you can break that down and see that through DMT, it'll make you really appreciate
Life.
your life and the breath that you take every day. And the great thing about it is it's not addictive. Like I did it because I would use it to expand. Like I would go into it with an intention. Show me something I've never seen. Show me how great love can be. Show me how I can clear this frustration out. Like I would always set an intention to it, and it would show me this overwhelmingly amount of love. Like just in ways that, like I said, it's hard to describe, but it's not something that you do. It's not like a line of cocaine. You want to do it every 5 minutes. I mean, it's like you do it and then months go by and you're like, oh, I want to learn something new. And you do it that one time and then it could be a year. I mean, I was doing it pretty often, but it's not like, smoking meth every 10, 20 minutes or drinking, it's just something that you do and you experience it. And I've known a lot of people that did it that one time and were like, okay, I get it.
I
I
got it.
get it. And that was it.
I heard some guy, and I'm sure I might mess this up a little bit, but I thought it was unique how he explained it. He said it's almost like I forgot where I heard it. I'm trying to think of where I heard it, but he said it's almost like someone who is like high on the spectrum of autism because they feel everything, they embrace everything, they don't judge anything, they take everything. Because you said earlier, I was thinking about that because you said I want to feel, what love is truly like, and that's what it is. It's taking you into a realm where you're experiencing everything at the volume all the way turned up, and you're not,
Yeah,
you're just embracing it. You're not judging it. You're not trying to figure it out. You're feeling it,
right.
and I think that's pretty cool because I feel
You're
like a lot of us.
experiencing
Yes.
what it is showing you, so you lose your sense of self.
Yes. Yes.
When
Perfect.
you lose your sense of self, there is no judgment. There is no trying to figure out. And looking at life from that perspective is a part of what's really changed my attitude, especially in getting sober and looking at just the way that I perceive life and love and gratitude and joy and peace of mind and protecting my energy and things of that nature. Because when you don't, it's hard to not judge, right?
Yeah.
People
It's
are
in love.
going to judge. I'm going to judge. There's that's just a normal thing within us, but it's learning how to control that and learning that everybody has a story. Everybody has something that they're going through, right? It may be smaller than yours. It may be bigger than yours. They may look like they have it all together when they really don't. They may look like they don't have it together, but have more understanding and compassion than anybody who looked like they have it. So
Absolutely.
when you start looking at life from that bigger perspective, and another theory that I find super amazing that's been really helpful in my growth as far as the way that I look at myself and others is that if we are spiritual beings experiencing, if God created us and we are a version of God who is here to experience this reality, that means God is already in us and we are with God as well, right? We're all connected. We are
Yep.
all one. That's why religion always frustrated me so much, because if that's the way that it is, then why do I have to go looking for God if I'm already a part of God and God created me and we're already all one? So then you start looking at, well, if that's the way that it is, that means each person around us and throughout this universe are all creations of God, which is a part of me, which is I'm a part of them, which is a part of that. So we're all connected. So I don't like being treated like shit. So I don't treat people like shit.
Absolutely.
It's just that simple. But to look at a TikTok video or an Instagram reel and say, oh my God, their life is so perfect. They got it all together, or why
Not
would this
really.
person make that kind of video when they're this kind of person? Those are little judgy things that we do. But I'm learning on a daily basis how to look at it and just go, okay, well, that's just another version of me. And that's what I did. So I appreciate it more.
I love
Does that
that.
make sense?
I totally get that. No, I love that. And that's something in my own life I have a lot of curiosity about too, because I've listened to things too as well about that, that we're all one. And once we realize that too, like I talked to a guy, I don't know if you know what NDERs or NDErs are. So like
Uh-uh.
near death experiences.
Okay.
So he said that all these people that he's talked to, and he's a scientist for a long time. So he said like religion and higher being, whatever, was kind of like it was hard for him, but it's not anymore. After talking to all these people, he sees that like in their final moments they think they're going to die or whatever they're going through, they leave themselves and they realize that they go to a place where we're all one, and they're told that they're not told, but they get the feeling that we've always been all one and we just don't see it. And,
Right.
history depicts that too as well, kind of paints that story. I'm sure other people will see it other ways. But like even, you look at the pyramids, there's pyramids all over the world. They didn't have cell phones. They didn't have, how is everybody getting the same design, the same idea? I mean,
Right.
and um, this will be an argument as well too. But, as we go down in history, they're saying that we were more connected back then than we are now, which is how when we have everything so easy available to us and can communicate, because I
Right.
believe our frequency was on the same frequency back then. Now there's so
Yeah.
much going on that everybody's kind of, I don't mean to be mean, but more about themselves, self-centered, and we're not reaching out to each other. And I don't know about you, Brian, but you said it earlier too. When I do something nice for somebody, hold a door, even little, say hi to somebody, thank you, man, I feel good. I feel great. And I think that's speaking to a bigger thing inside of us that we need to pay attention a little more to.
Absolutely. And I use that term that you kind of got out and didn't complete, is this simply holding a door open for somebody. Simply, dude, I'll be in an elevator and uh the old Adidas shell toes are like my all-time favorite shoes ever. And I'll
Yeah.
see somebody wearing those. I'll be in an elevator. I'm like, oh my God, those are my favorite shoes ever. Dude, those are so dope. That simple interaction. Again, you can look like you've got it all together and there's no problems in your life whatsoever. And you're walking into the convenience store and you hold that door open for that person. You have no idea that that person may have been on their hands and knees the night before praying for a miracle, praying for somebody just to see them, praying for somebody just to see them or smile back at them. Why is this world so dark and everybody's constantly on their phones and we're constantly connected when you're disconnected? You're
Absolutely.
disconnected. You're not connected to anything. You're disconnected because it's like going to a restaurant, man, and seeing people not even really enjoying each other. It's constantly on the phone, taking a bite, checking emails, checking text messages. Oh, hey, is your food good? Yeah, mine's great. Okay, cool. There's that loss of that true frequency, that true vibration that we all long for.
Yep.
But now all of a sudden we're just too busy to even eat dinner together. And that sucks, man. It sucks.
You nailed it. That is that is a big thing in my life too, because obviously, yeah, I have a phone too, and I got, I grew up in a different time when phones were just coming up too, and all that, and we all fall into that. We're using
Yeah,
technology,
absolutely.
but it's
Yeah.
how you use it. Like we're communicating, I'm having a great conversation with you right now too, and it's just my point to all of this is when you do that, real conversations. That's why I made the podcast. Real conversations, real, you have a real debate with somebody. Life is better, even from the simplest form. When somebody says hi and smiles at you, that's contagious. And Brian, that's what I love about you, brother. You do really good, and that's what I was talking about earlier. You live life to the fullest. You embrace it, every bit of it, from the smallest to the biggest. And I think we need more people like that in life. We need embrace life. We need more human connections. I talked to another guy too. We are tribal people and we are
Yeah.
going away from the tribe, with being, I go back to a story all the time real quick, Brian. You're talking about dinner. Like me and my wife, we went out to dinner and we're sitting there and, we're on vacation. So we're having a good time. And we just happen to look over. It's a family. It's a father, a mother, and their two kids. I mean, they're ignoring the waiter. They're just there in their phone, no communication, no. And these were younger kids. This is the time when you're supposed to, let them know about life, enjoy it. You guys are obviously on vacation too, and you're just sitting there staring at you. You could do that at home. I mean,
Yeah.
enjoy it.
Yeah. You forget that there's palm trees and water and food
Yes,
being handed to you, and you
absolutely. We're in a
forget about that.
beautiful
And
place.
you're
Let's
watching
enjoy
somebody else's
life,
do it on Instagram or TikTok instead of being in the present moment, enjoying your own.
present.
One of the biggest reasons, and thank you for what you just said. One of the biggest things that I've learned over the past 2 years, 7 months, and 2 days is I'm going to be judged for the greatest decisions that I make. And I'm going to be judged for all the decisions and things that people think are wrong or not cool or, judgmental, whatever. Well, if that's the case, I might as well live my life to the fullest that I can possibly live it. Because if you're going to judge me either way, then get out of my way. Because I'm
Oh
just
yeah,
going to live my life, my friend.
absolutely.
I
It-
can't. I don't have time for you to tell me how my life is going to be. I don't have time for you to tell me how I should enjoy my life. I don't have time for you to tell me what I should and shouldn't act like.
you know what, Brian?
If
That
it
was
makes me happy and smile, as within, so without. If I put good energy, good vibration, good mood, good frequency, good thoughts, good positive things into my life, which is not always easy. It's not
yeah,
rainbows and butterflies.
not all the time.
But if you could think negative, you could think positive. If you can hate on yourself, you can love on yourself. And all it takes is just a 1% adjustment of that attitude a day to create that compound interest that will change your life and your perspective on your life in a short amount of time.
It will rewire your brain, and it will bring that, it will attract that as well too. And Bryan, once again, man, you said it good. It's people forget that first word, my life. It's
Yeah,
my life. Do it your way. This was a blessing. This is something given to us, could be taken away at any time.
yeah,
Enjoy it. I lived my life a long time, a little personal about me. I lived my life a long time trying to please certain people in my family. And under that umbrella, I was miserable. And when I started living life for myself, good things came to me. The life that I live now, my wife, this podcast, when you live life the way you want to, you enjoy it and you experience it in your way. And you said it best with the people are going to judge you on your best days, on your worst days, and the in between days. That's what people do. But that's fine. You do that. I'm going to do me and I'm going to enjoy this journey.
right,
And when it ends, I'm going to go with, I did it my way. Frank
right.
Sinatra.
Yeah, exactly. And if you don't like it, change the channel.
Exactly. Go somewhere else.
It is that simple. You don't have to badmouth somebody. You don't have to put nasty comments on their videos or on their post. You
Which will
That's
happen.
another thing that society has gotten to that really it just baffles my brain that I cannot
Absolutely.
comprehend for 1 second is these hate comments that people put because of either jealousy or because they're just trolling but why if I put out bad, I'm going to get bad.
Absolutely.
Do people not realize that if somebody gets joy out of sharing a video of them planting flowers and it brings them joy and they want to share it with the rest of the world, why would you go on there and say, that's so stupid? Why are you doing that? You're doing it wrong. Maybe, just all it baffles my brain. Why don't you just
Hey,
go, hell yeah, I love it.
that's
This is
cool.
rad. I don't like plants, but I love it that you're doing it. If you're going to make a comment,
Make it a
why
pun.
not share somebody's excitement for it? Because when you see somebody's eyes light up for something, you're just jealous because you can't find anything in your own life to be passionate about. So you got to tear somebody down to make yourself look bigger.
Absolutely. And you know what, too, like you said earlier, sometimes I've been negative too, and it's life is about growth. You try not to be, but one thing that I have noticed in my life, at least personally, when I'm positive to somebody else and dude, I'm in a better mood. When you're negative,
Yeah.
you feel like shit. It
Yeah.
doesn't do anything good for you. So
No.
why not just be positive? It,
Right.
I don't get it.
And it's not easy. It's not easy.
It's a
A
struggle.
lot of my life, I would sit there and question, why am I this alcoholic? Why am I a drug addict? Why do I like to go so hard? Why do I do that? Who am I? Am I going to be this my entire life? God, this is crazy. I can't stop. I will not ever stop. I'm going to be this for the rest of my life. Don't get me wrong. I've been flooded in my own brain, in my own soul, my own spirit with all those questions and those negative thoughts and planting those negative seeds in my life. It took me getting sober to realize how precious each breath is
Yep.
and how when I fill myself with goodness, I get it back tenfold and I feel good on top of it. And it's a better high than I've ever felt in my entire life. And you said something interesting a minute ago too, that you were always trying to make other people happy. Like the same reason why I went to rehab so many times was to make my mom happy, to help her sleep just a little bit better at night, not having to worry about me. And all these selfish reasons, not ever but because I wanted to, not because I wanted to change my life. But now I'm so keen on the fact that I could go in 5 minutes from now.
Yep.
And man, I don't want to even think about being in a bad mood or hating something or being pissed off about something or being reckless about something or having just hurtful feelings towards anybody for any reason, because I don't feel hurt and sad and stuff in my own life right now. So when I realize that I've created that within my heart and in my spirit, and I just have joy for life and I protect my peace at all costs and stay grateful for 5 simple things, I have another chance at life today. I have a roof over my head, shoes on my feet, clothes on my back, food in my stomach. Those 5 simple things, man, everything after that is just a bonus. Again, it's changing your perspective on where you're at and who you are, because
Perspective. Yeah,
living life for somebody else, dude, is a hard way to live,
absolutely. I agree.
because you're never going to live up to their expectations or anybody else's. You might as well
That's
live up to your own.
it's their
And when you
expectation.
fulfill your own with them, then people around you are excited about it. Like, oh my God, this guy's got it together, man. He's really doing something.
Absolutely. And Brian, it's your energy, brother, man. That's what I'm saying too. And you fully, I believe you fully tapped into who you are, man. And that's an awesome
Thanks.
look. It's good. It's contagious. And it's
Thanks,
something that
man.
everybody listening to, I suggest you try to do too every day. Just take that little step to do things more for you. Um,
Right.
I'm gonna use a religious text here though, but your body is your temple. And the way I look at that is it really is. Put positive in your temple, and your temple, you'll be positive. Put negative, and same thing with health, and it could go into nutrition, whatever. You put trash in, you're gonna get trash out. You put,
Yeah,
healthy in, you're gonna get healthy out. And
exactly.
I just want to talk back real quick about your journey. Um, because I'm having fun, and we could go forever talking about
Yeah.
this, because this, and I would love to get you on here again too, and maybe talk some more of
Sure.
that. Just your perspective on life and mine together, and how we kind of are mingling there with the same perspectives. I love
Okay.
that talk. But how going forward now, you're living your life. Is it like an always day struggle to stay on the correct path, or you pretty much got it down? And what does that look like?
Yeah, that is definitely not a struggle. I think my biggest struggle that I have is I, I want to give as much as possible and share as much as possible, and I I sometimes don't take time for myself as much as I probably should, but I also feel it's a mission and a purpose of mine. But like going backwards, as far as like relapsing or living that life again, no
Mhm.
desire. I've done that for 46 years almost, and I know
Yeah.
exactly how that makes me feel and what kind of life it's led me to. And I look at all those moments and all those struggles, and those are all just stepping stones to lead where I'm at today. And now I wake up just peaceful and joyful, right, and grateful. So the struggle is mainly, you know, taking time for myself, and instead of just always on the go. That's probably my biggest struggle right now, is learning that balance.
Yeah, and I think Brad, that in my life too. Obviously I got the content going on. I got work. I got my family. I think that's a common struggle between us all. Kind of
Sure.
just taking times for ourselves, and it's funny you say that. That's kind of why I built my channel and my podcast too. I want people just to I do the YouTube as well too, and I do a lot of like urban content, and just daily life stuff, from stuff that I like to do, because I just want everybody to realize that we do live in a fast paced world, and we need to give ourselves some time to just do things for us, relax, whether that's staring at the stars, or sitting down and having a nice glass of water, or whatever it is for you, listen to some music. Just, I think we all have to take our time and realize that we're doing okay, we're fine, and
Yeah,
you're good, and to embrace who you are, and just sit with your thoughts for a little bit.
exactly. And I have certain disciplines. Like in the morning, I don't wake up and touch my phone for 30 minutes to 45 minutes. That's a non-negotiable. And at night, I end with a gratitude book. I mean, I do take time for
Right.
myself in the morning and at night. Um, but I'm always it just never shuts off, man. It's
I'm
always
the
like,
same
what
way.
can I do next? Where can I go? Who can I help? What can I possibly share? That is slowing my brain down is throughout
It's
the
hard.
day is probably my biggest struggle. But I don't think about, I don't think about the drugs and alcohol stuff anymore. When I decided to get sober, I dug a 12-foot hole, and I buried that old Brian, because I knew when I made that decision that there was no going back.
Beautiful.
And relapse is a part of sobriety, and I've relapsed a million times. That's okay, but for me now, I don't I don't have that a slow decline. I jump off cliffs. So, I
Embracing everything.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I focus on, I focus on whatever I can do to maintain my energy and my internal peace, and whatever that takes for me throughout my day. I've got meditation, breathing practices, helping others, and doing my TikTok live stream. Helps me get out of my own head a lot, and so yeah.
I love that you said that. Maintain your energy, Bryan. I think that's the what this episode is really about. Maintaining your light, your shine, and your contagious energy that you have, Bryan. And I think that's amazing. I think you're an amazing human being, very strong, very dedicated. The fact that you
Thank you.
took that stuff away and you know who you are now, and you knew who you were all along, and still, being that strong person you are, just in a different way, in a more positive um, energy way, giving your time to the correct things in life, and the real energy that you have was inside of you. Bryan, that story to me and to everybody listening, I'm sure is commendable and amazing, and it's beautiful story. It's what we love talking here, Bryan. That's real life. There,
Yeah.
that's not fake. That's real, and that's something that's who you've been and what you're doing, Bryan. I hope you keep it up. Just to wrap it up here, Bryan, is there anything you want to say to people maybe going through the struggle or maybe out of the same struggle you had? Just any message you want to give to everybody listening.
Sure. You're worth it. That can mean a million different things to a million different people. I'm worth what? I'm worth more money. I'm worth more love. I'm worth everything that is amazing in this life that you desire, that your heart truly desires. You're worth having every bit of it. Abundance is there for us to tap into, but I more so than anything, I have to say that I believe wholeheartedly that you have to really understand that you're worth having the best things in this life. That does not mean things aren't going to come easy, because what is good in life always comes with struggles, and there's always going to be struggles. That's a given. That's part of life. But it's also within that struggles the growth is found and the appreciation for life is found. So just remember that you're worth it, and you are worth being the best version of yourself. And don't let one person, place, or thing tell you otherwise, because it will be a lie.
Man, Bryan, you're gonna make me tear up here, man. That is beautiful but true. I think your biggest growth is found in your darkest times, and
Mm-hmm.
you hit it on the head with that one, brother. Worth is a powerful word, and a word that I don't think we face enough in life. And I
Yeah.
think knowing your worth is everything, and knowing your worth in life is key to success, to your success, whatever that looks like. Remember,
Right.
guys, your journey is your journey. Your life is your life. My life is my life. Remember that, Bryan. I want to thank you so much for being on and being honest about your story. I know that's hard sometimes too, and it's hard for a lot of people too to, let it all out. I think
Yeah.
it's,
Thanks.
you're a very strong man in what you do, and we need more people like you, with more people with energy like you, brother. I appreciate it,
Thank
man.
you.
Don't ever change, brother.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's been great.
Thank you for being on, and everybody, thank you for listening. Come back again. Listen as always. I'm Tony as always. This was Bryan. Peace.